Hi, everybody. Welcome to everybody joining in. Hello, hello. I'm starting out in my chair today, but I'm holding you in my hand because we're going to move to my table pretty quickly. So, hello, 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 hello. Today we have one of my mugs that was gifted from one of my fantastic guests of mine. So I got a new Mickey Mouse mug. I don't know if you guys have a cup of joe, but I do. Okay, so I'm going to try not to get you, hello, hello. I'm going to try not to get you guys all dizzy. A couple of the things that I wanted to talk about really quickly before we head on over to my table. Hi, hello from New Zealand. Oh, that's so exciting. You guys have some cool rules over there. Oh, finally free to watch. Yay. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you all here. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about really quickly is, hi, Lisa, I'm so glad you're here. Great day for you to be here. All right, well, let everybody get kind of joined in. Make sure that you remember that. Oh, everybody's gonna start talking to each other now. Make sure that you remember that tomorrow is a Nails Over Coffee takeover by Suki. So the Nail Beyonce will be standing in my spot tomorrow. You guys all be kind to him and give him lots of hearts. So yes, Sakura McLaughlin will be taking over Nails Over Coffee tomorrow. I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay, I only have slightly of an idea he's talking about. I know that he and I have discussed I don't know if you've seen it yet, the picture on Facebook of the nail that was sculpted out with two forms that looks kind of like a bird beak or claw. So I know that, I love that you guys are having this chat amongst yourselves while I'm talking. So I know Suki's going to be talking about that tomorrow. Not sure what else he's going to talk about. He's teaching a class today, so he's going to catch this show later, to see if he wants to add on to anything I talk about today. Oh gosh, no, keep talking, you guys. Lisa said, sorry, Michelle. I'm like, no, keep talking. Yes, you guys are listening to me, so, talk amongst yourselves. And I know later this week, we're going to do some other stuff. We're going to, kind of put the final hat on Fashion Week for nails. We're going to talk about just a few other trending things. I've got some client customer service issues, the discussion of, ballerina nails versus coffin nails. Is there a difference? There's a lively conversation about that going on my Facebook page. So just kind of letting everybody sort that out. And I'm looking for some pictures and everything. So lots of fun stuff for the rest of this week. But with that said, we are going to, I'm going to grab my coffee. We are going to take a little wander over to my table. There we go. You guys get to see, the rest of what's going on here with my salon space. Okay, so, and I wore zebra print for you guys today. Okay, that's not so bad lighting wise. I'm going to see if I can get you guys set up here in a manner that will allow you to see what I'm doing. Okay, I think that'll work. Yeah, that'll be pretty good, I think. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is practicing. I had a conversation about this with a couple different people this weekend, and I can't believe after all these years that people still seem surprised when I say this. But okay, so if you're practicing and you are practicing sculpting nails, okay? And we all know that sometimes it's hard to find those real hand guinea pigs, and these little suckers only go so far, okay? We know this. So what you want to do is you want to find a set of fingers, anybody, and men are usually pretty game for this because nothing's going to stay on. So when I first started out, what I used to do is put cuticle oil on the nail, no prep, and then you put the form on, and then you can sculpt and you can file, and by the time you're done, you can push down on the free edge of the nail and the nail will just pop off. No damage to the nail. It's fantastic for practice. But what I learned is that different cuticle oils behave differently on the nail plate. So here's the thing. If you use a high penetrating cuticle oil, like a solar oil or a dotty oil, you can sometimes get too much penetration in the nail plate, and then it's harder to get the nail off. If you use a more mineral oil based, cuticle oil, what happens is that then when you go to place the product down, it messes with the product consistency, and therefore you're sort of wasting your time practicing, because that's what you're trying to practice is consistency. So what I found that works better than cuticle oil for practicing is lip balm, chapstick, something that's kind of waxy like that. Because it doesn't sink into the nail, but yes. Chapstick's cheaper. So if you can afford to buy Take Two from Elaine Watson, the Nail Liberty, if you can afford to buy those, that works fantastically, and it does allow you to keep your work. But if you don't have that, now, Amy just questioned Vaseline. I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is because Vaseline changes viscosity when it's warm. And so I don't know if it would run into the cuticle and therefore mess up your consistency as well. What I do know that works is lip balm. Any kind of really waxy lip balm. And if you put it down on the nail and make sure that it's just all sitting on the nail plate, you don't want it too much on the finger or the form won't stick. But then you can put the form on, so you can practice putting your form on, and then you can work on smile lines or whatever shape it is that you want. And like I said, you can get all the way through filing, usually. And then you can just push down on the free edge and the back pops off, and that's it. So for practicing, the oldest unknown trick in the book is use lip balm or whatever. That'll get you that real life practice on some hands, your own or somebody else's, that you can use over and over and over again without risking the damage to the natural nail. That does not obviously work on your fill times and those kind of things, but we're going to talk about that in a second. But for full sets and practicing sculpting, that is the most awesome way to do. Now, the other question that I see asked all the time is people say, I did this with my nails and I don't feel like they look right, so I don't know what to do. And they ask for honest critique. And a lot of people have a hard time critiquing somebody's work because they don't want to come across as sounding, too cheeky or whatever. So, here's the thing is, most of the time, what I see the problem with those is almost dominantly one of two things. They're either too close to the cuticle and sidewalls, or they've never really been taught how to properly file, how to properly shape. So as far as the too close to the cuticle thing goes, make sure that when you're doing a nail, whether it be a fill or a full set or acrylic or gel or whatever, gel polish, whatever, make sure that you get that cuticle pushed back first and the eponychium pushed back. So make sure that you remove all the cuticle skin, but you also need to make sure that you're pushing the eponychium skin back too. Because here's what happens. Then when you lay that bead of acrylic or ball of gel or whichever product you're using, you're going to be able to get right up to, but leave a visible fine margin around the edge of the eponychium. Then in a couple of hours, when the skin relaxes back down, which it will, then they're not going to have a visible margin. So a lot of times, if you look at my pictures that I've taken of my clients' nails while they're still in my chair right before they leave, you can still see a visible margin around the nail, and that's because it's going to have to settle back in. So, and that's fine. because then it's sealed down to the nail. There's no touching the skin anywhere, and they're not going to have that appearance in about an hour. So don't be afraid of that. You need to make sure that you are not touching either eponychium skin or any cuticle that's residually left on the nail plate, or you're going to have lifting. And once lifting starts, it doesn't stop. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. So the other thing is not proper filing. It didn't occur to me until I had been troubleshooting with 3 or 4 people over in the UK that most of them just needed some better examples of filing. So CND.com's educational videos have some great tips on filing. Tammy Taylor Nails has some great videos on filing steps. If you actually look up and pay attention to just the filing steps that the manufacturer teaches, then you will learn to train your eye to see some things like how to file out from the nail groove or in if you're going to do something that's like an alternative shape, how to look down the barrel of the nail and have it maybe just slightly thicker at the apex in the middle, but have it, you know, so that when you're looking at it from the free edge end, it's even all the way across. Amy Becker talks a lot about if you use an e-file. I'm going to grab my e-file here. If you use an e-file to, especially with gel, because this is interesting, and I learned this from Amy, and it's made such a difference. Taking your e-file bit and catching the edge of the nail under there at a little bit of an angle, make sure you don't get the end of your client's finger, but at a little bit of an angle will give you the appearance of a thinner nail on the tip, but it's just beveling under there. So then you still end up with some of that strength. Now that doesn't make up for bad structure. You got to have good structure, but to make that appear a little thinner. The other thing Amy taught me was, because gel is a more fluid, liquidy type product, it wants to tend to bubble. And so it gets that look on the ends that we look at as nail professionals and go, but it doesn't look done because it doesn't have any edges. So Amy taught me to shape my gel nails at the end so that after I'm totally done, which goes against everything we were taught about the seal at the end of the nail. Amy said after your very last coat, that's when you shape, because that will get rid of that bulbous end that some people hate about gel nails. And it makes them look more like acrylic. And then she did it on me at the show, and I'll be damned if that wasn't exactly the truth. So those are kind of some things to think about. Now, the other thing for practicing that I want to talk to you guys about is if you're having problems with your filing technique, the old school way of go ahead and put on your product. Okay, Lisa, I know we had talked about, I had talked to you a little bit this last weekend. So put your product on. If it's gel, put it on and take off the inhibition layer. If it's acrylic, lay it to where you think it's ready to be filed, okay? And remember, only put on as much product as you need. Otherwise, you're just wasting product and time filing. So we have a tendency to just keep stacking product on because we want it to look smooth to our eye before we start filing. And then actually what we've done is we've built up so much product that we're at the too thick spot instead of once we've got it thick enough, ignoring anything that's higher than that. So none of that. Like, don't be looking at, make sure you have enough product on, it's covering everywhere it should, and it's not touching anywhere it shouldn't. Anything above that, you're going to file it off anyway. So try to resist the urge to just keep stacking product on there until it's smooth. But this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. So once you get the product all laid, right, what you are going to want to do is, I'm going to grab a file here. What you're going to want to do Hold on, I gotta take the edges off my file because I don't particularly feel like cutting myself. I mean, I love you guys, but I'm not willing to sacrifice blood for y'all. Put red polish down on the nail. Before filing or any of that kind of stuff, put red polish down. It doesn't need to be 2 coats. It doesn't need to be whatever. Just get some color on there that's completely covering the surface of what you're doing, okay? And then, and I'm going to use my thumbnail to show you guys. Then when you have color on there so you can see, now you can start out with whatever filing technique you want, and you're going to be able to see exactly where you're filing. So that way you can take the file and you can put it down. Let's see if I can get a good angle here. You can put it down in the nail, make sure that it's not stuck to the skin. That's not a file, that's a push. Okay, and then back it off the skin a little bit and you can smooth it. Now, some of you are going to have some smoothing like that to do. You know, if you're doing a fill, stop filing your sides with a 100 grit file. File your sides with 180 because you don't need to take all that side off on a fill. And then be able to file, and you'll be able to see exactly, start out around the edge to make sure you get that all smoothed, okay? And you'll be able to see exactly where you filed. Let's see if I can get a better view on that for you guys. So you can see around the edge, and I can see a little bit of red on my file. So file around the edge to get the red off. And then when you start to file, however you file, whether you file in the horseshoe up and over and down, or whether you do it the same thing but backwards this way or whatever, please remember to file from your shoulder. We need you to be a nail tech for a really long time. But so when you do this, when you make that first pass up and over and down and up and over and down, you're going to be, when you make that first pass, you're going to be able to see every high spot and every low spot that you had. And the reason why you're going to be able to see that is because the red is going to be gone from the high spots and it's still going to be there in the low spots. So in my case, it's stamping. See? We can see where the high spots are. We can see where more of my pressure was being applied. So then again, you can come up and over and down. And of course I have gel polish on here, so we're just going to sit and chat for a minute while I do this. But do that with a few nails and you'll be able to see, are you filing straight up, straight across, and straight down? And that's why you're not getting that beveled shape you want. Is it as simple as rocking your file a little more over the nail plate, lifting up that elbow just a little bit, and that simple motion of just rocking over the nail plate is going to be enough to give you that smooth shape you're looking for? Doing some analysis with the red polish over the unfiled nail trick will definitely give you some insight into what you're doing when you file. Are you pressing too hard on the back side of the file and not pressing evenly on the file? You'll know that too, because you'll only see the red come off where the edge of the file is touching, and you'll only see the color on one edge instead of, as you can see on my file here, I have color all across, which I now just knocked off. But so take some time to sit down and analyze, really analyze how you're holding your file, how you're doing all of that. Now, the reason why I picked this thumbnail is because I had a chip. So here's the other thing. If you're really not comfortable with sculpting nails, then you need to feel free to use tips. Use tips if you have to. Especially if you're doing something like pink and white and you're worried about your smile lines, use tips because that's going to allow you to practice back swiping your smile line without worrying about building the structure of the nail. With a tip, the structure comes from the tip application and the strength comes from the rest of the enhancement. Well, with a sculptured nail, you have to build the structure into the enhancement. And sometimes that's just a little too much for people who are just starting out. And there is no shame in that. If you need to, you can also use white tips. And instead of putting them all the way back to the well, you can just set the white line where you want to set it. And then use the white line of the white tip as the guide for back swiping your brush. Because once you get the next bead of acrylic down that's pink or clear or whatever, it's going to mesh with the white. There's a tip under there that's white. Literally nobody's going to be able to tell the difference between a regular tip application, but you got practice over using a natural color tip on working on your smile line. Hello, welcome to people who are joining on in late. So while we've been talking here, I've been filing off my gel color. The other thing that we need to do to Facebook page. I only caught part of that question because I was filing. Yes, this will be posted to my Facebook page. You just won't be able to see all of the discussion that goes on the screen. You'll be able to watch it replay on Periscope for 24 hours. Then sometime later this week, I'm going to get a lot of these uploaded to YouTube. So that will be there too. And they'll also be on the Facebook page. But so yes, it'll be around. You just won't be able to see everybody's questions. And remember that all the demos I do on Periscope that aren't Nails Over Coffee will all be archived on the University of Nails. So just keep that in mind too. If you're a University of Nails member, you'll have access to all of those things. Okay. So the other thing that you can do is if you're doing nails with tips, you can use that to practice sculpting, practice repair, those kind of things. So if you're doing your clients full sets of nails with tips, when they break one, repair it with a sculpt. And have your primary purpose be to make that one nail match the perfect shape that you want it to be. And that takes so much of the pressure off. You're only having to apply one form. You're only having to sculpt one structure and French line, or if you do reverse, you're only having to do it on one nail like that with the sculpt. Then when you'll start to feel more and more confident with the sculpting. And then when that happens, but all meanwhile, you've been making money doing nails using tips. So we need to, no tip shaming. People need to learn how to do, well, first of all, you should know how to do both because there are clients who will ask for one or the other. And there's no shame in putting on a set of white tips and clear acrylic and having it only take you a half an hour and charging $30, and it's for somebody who's going to prom or whatever, and they're not going to keep them on. There's no harm in that. As long as you're treating the nail safely, we need to stop tip shaming. So, but sculpting is just the more artistic way of doing it, and for some people, a preference. And it's my preference, but I didn't start it overnight. Like, I did the whole tips and then sculpt a nail, and then you can start repairing a nail. So the reason why I chose this thumb is, as we can see, I have a broken corner. When I did my fill on myself, this was a previous repair and the ledge underneath it was bugging the crap out of me. And so I filed it thinner than I know I should have. And so it only lasted a couple of days before the corner came off, and I knew it was going to happen, and I did it anyway. We are our own worst clients. I've said it before, I'll just be a nightmare if I was somebody else's client. I don't know how people can wear the same stuff on their nails for 3 or 4 weeks. I barely made it through a week. So, the other thing you can do is practice sculpting when you are going to do a repair, because that will teach you to get the right shape on your nail form up under the corner, and it will have a little bit of a ledge. There's nothing you can do about that. You need to seal in the end of that nail. You know, imagine it has to go over and, over and under to pinch it. But what you're going to want to do is, this will teach you to get your form tight up under that nail, which teaches you what the right shape of form feels like, the right curve. And then it will also help you learn to kind of control your product a little bit to build it out. So we're going to do that. And for those of you who follow me on my personal Facebook page, yes, my beloved Minnie Mouse glasses broke right before my last client last week, and my amazing and wonderful hub love fixed them for me while I was sleeping on Saturday. So we still have the mini glasses. Yay! I was so bummed. Okay, so a couple other things about troubleshooting. And if you guys have some questions, that's why I turned the screen this way, is so that I'd be able to see you guys. So if you have questions, feel free to chime in with them. I'm going to try and keep an eye on the screen while I'm doing this. Okay, so another big question that happens all the time, while we'll worry about this break in a second, is lifting. If you have, like, I've got a little tiny lifty corner here, back here, there we go, back here in this corner, I've got a little tiny lifty corner. I could feel it when I was pushing the cuticle back. You know how you go to the dentist and they're scraping tartar off your teeth, and you can feel when the little, sorry for people who hate the dentist, but it's a good comparison, and you can feel the little pick go because it catches on the tartar, and then of course they dig at it and scrape it off, but that's not the part we're talking about. When you are pushing back the cuticle and the eponychium, you can feel with the edge of your pusher, if you've got a little catch, like you can even see my cuticle pusher jump a little bit. And, but it doesn't jump on this side because I don't have any lifting over there. And so, and see how this grew out though, all nice and blended straight back to the nail plate, sealed down. Let's see if we can get a good angle on there. Now, this may not be your style of shape, and that's fine. That's fine. Everybody, that's the artistic part of what we do. Everybody has different shapes, styles, those kind of things. So that's, style is not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is structure and the overall finished appearance. Whatever your style's overall finished appearance might be. So there are some things that we need to know. We know that nails that are thicker by the cuticle area, we know those nails lift more. So you need to be blended flush to the natural nail along that perimeter edge, even if you're going to then go straight up and make a really high arch or a really high apex. That's fine. Like, you totally need to just be focusing on the structure part, and then whatever you do with the style part, that's all on you. I tend to have a pretty low apex, and because I do a lot of square nails, I don't do a whole lot of alternative shaped nails. I do a lot of square oval and a lot of oval. I don't do a lot of almond or ballerina or whatever you want to call those shapes. So because of that, I don't tend to have a real, they're just stylistically not me. So I don't tend to have a real high arch. But that doesn't mean that the high arch isn't appropriate depending on the client's nail shape and on your style. So back to that, I could feel this little catch here on this side. Okay, so here's the thing. You can't just file at the lifting, because if you just file at the lifting, all you do is get, well, first of all, you're filing it in the natural nail probably because you're just catching that edge. And the other thing is that you need to get back to where the product is adhered. So you are going to eventually hit the edge of that, but where you really want to be filing is further out from the lifting. So I've got this little bit of lifty right here in the corner. I'm actually going to file that out here. Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm actually going to file that out here because what I want to do is I want to file into product that isn't lifted. Now, I don't want to file obviously any more than I have to, but I'm going to file into product that's not lifted, and I'm just going to file down because I don't need to be, remember if you, filing basics, you can't go forever. You're going to build up heat and destroy your client's nails, and they're going to kick you under the table or punch you in the face or something. So, you file just a little further back from the lifting, and then what happens is the lifting, right, behind the lifted product, exactly. And then what happens is the part that was lifted just flakes away. And your natural nail, you can run it over there to make sure it's prepped just fine, but then all of that lifting is gone. Ta-da! So even if the nail is halfway lifted, if you did something where you just totally didn't get the client's cuticle skin off right and all that, then so your lifting goes way out to here. The key to eliminating fill lines is to eliminating discoloring of your product and to file. If you've got lifting out to here, then you need to be filing here. And then file into the product that is still adhered. And then once you get that all filed down, you can run a couple passes over your file and the part that's lifted will just fall right off. And then you can make sure the natural nail is prepped like it's supposed to be per your manufacturer's instructions and move on. So, on the note of manufacturer's instructions, we're really lax here in, and it won't leave a lift line. Correct, Lisa? So, per manufacturer's instructions is a big one. In the UK, you actually are not covered by your liability insurance if there is a problem and you did not follow manufacturer's instructions. I'm not sure about some of the other countries, but I know it's not that way in the United States. However, you won't have any backup support in the case of a lawsuit. So, you need to be able to say and explain exactly why you are doing what you are doing or what you're doing. And so this habit of cherry picking from different lines needs to stop. Okay? I don't care what product you use. I don't care what business model you follow. I don't care about any of that. But whatever product you decide to use, you use whatever the manufacturer tells you to use. If you don't like the results using what the manufacturers tell you to use, then you need to find a different product that you can use all the products that the manufacturer tells you to use. Now, I'm not talking about whether you use acrylic paint and the whole nail art versus cosmetic grade stuff. That's saved for another discussion this week. But as far as what the company says that the product needs to have on the nail to make it stick, what the company says needs to be used in what manner to prepare it for something to stick, and whatever the company says you need to use for the things to make the enhancement, that includes cure time, like stick with the manufacturer's instructions. It will help you from a liability standpoint, and it will also help you troubleshoot. Because here's the deal. If you call up CND's hotline and you ask them why your shellac is only lasting 10 days and they go through your steps with you and you're not using Scrub Fresh, they're going to say you need to use Scrub Fresh. Now, whether or not that is or isn't the problem doesn't matter at that point, because they can't tell you what the other product you're using is doing wrong. So you have to be able to say, I am using this product you told me to prep with. I'm using this file you told me to file with. I'm using this, you know what I mean? You need to be able to go through all of those steps. And then they can say, okay, you're not getting the nail plate clean enough, or you did the pep part of the wrong type of this part of the service, or you didn't get the acid-free primer on in the right time frame, or whatever the troubleshooting may be. And that's also how you're going to know a responsible manufacturer. inside and out. If you call your manufacturer and they can't answer the simplest of procedural questions of what to do with their own product, then you need to find another manufacturer. Because any manufacturer or a manufacturer educator should be able to, I was a manufacturer educator. I quit in 2001 and I could still recite the steps and the class and all that for you verbatim, backwards and forwards. So they should know that. And if they don't, then you need to find another manufacturer because you need to have the product support. We pay good money for our products and we deserve to have product support. Okay, so on the note of this little guy here, okay, and I have a client coming in 20 minutes, so I'm only going to be able to yap with you guys for just a few minutes longer. But so I'm going to take out my nail form. This is the nail form that I am using, and this happens to be one from the industry source. It looks like a Tammy Taylor form, but it's not. So here's the thing. You can come in, Corey. Teenager just got home. I'm over here recording facing me, so.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so home studio. So here, I'm going to take my form, and because it's on my thumb, I'm going to break the back side of the form. Normally, I wouldn't do that if it was another nail. So I'm going to take that though, and I'm going to get that placed up underneath the nail. Of course, it's always harder to do on yourself, right? And I am going to smoosh that down. And then when you look at that, you can see that I don't have a gap. I don't have a gap between the form and the product other than this little corner right here that I'm going to have to replace anyway. Okay? So this, you put this form on and you get it tight up under the rest of the nail so that you won't have product. You don't want product to flow under there all the way across. You're just going to end up spending time drilling it out and it's going to make a huge old mess. So you get the form up under there. And then when you go to repair this, now do this for practice on yourself. If you've done a set of nails, grab your set of nippers like my instructor did to me in nail school, Miss Annette, wherever you are, and bust a corner off your nail and then prep it, file it, and fix it. Practice like that. There's no reason we have to wait until something magically happens for us to do it. You know, bust a corner off and see what happens. And then fix it. So you're going to do this, and then you can place your bead of acrylic with whatever color you need right there, just on the nail. You're going to place the product down. You're going to let it settle in, however it's supposed to, however your product settles in. Okay. The product I generally use tends to just flow a little bit and level, but there's products that you need to pat and push to release the liquid out of the belly of your brush. Those kind of things. Some brands, you use the flags of your brush to do that because you don't want the extra liquid. Manufacturer's instructions. But then once it's settled in, you're going to give it a nice push. Just like you're sculpting a full nail, you're going to give it a nice push and you're going to pat it down, all bumping it off the side here, all to build out the corner. And in my case, I would need to build out this little side too, because that's the side the lifting was on. So I filed it. But so in that manner, if I was repairing this for a client or I was filling it, I would be placing, and notice I could have super grown out silver on my tips, placing a bead of acrylic right here. I would probably use this same color of pink because clearly I'm covering up that silver mess. I would let it flow out. Then I would give it a push. I would bring it off to the sides. See how pretty close I am? I'm just grown out to just past the 1 on a form, and that's because I keep my nails generally to a 1. So I would bump it out to where it needs to go. I'd give it a little pat and push here. I'd bring down the side of my brush to bring this up to that line. You see that line on the form? The lines on the form are there for a reason. Use them. And then I'd follow that so I'd get that nice shape. And then I could place one bead of acrylic back here, like a fill-in cuticle area ball, give it a push to the corners because it's a wide thumbnail, and then instead of going left side, or I guess right side, left side, center, I would just go the opposite way. I would pull forward on this side first because that's where I need the extra product. And then I would pull forward on this side, and then I would smooth it through the center, and that would be it. 2-ball repair. Okay? Not the 40-ball method, the 2-ball method. So, those are those things. Now I have about 5 more minutes. So, that was a lot of information I just gave in a really short period of time. So why don't you guys ask me some questions, and we'll do a little quick Q&A here for anything that I missed, or maybe something that you need more clarification on that you didn't understand because I was talking a million miles a minute. Let me know what questions you have. I'm going to drink my coffee before my client gets here. Center pocket lifting. That's a great question. Generally, when you have center pocket lifting, again, it's generally, you can pretty much pinpoint the source. Either your liquid to product ratio, if you're using liquid and powder, either your liquid to powder ratio isn't right, so that you don't get a full cure when you start your filing after applying the product. The product only cures to about 50% when we can file on it. And it's going to finish curing the rest of the way over the next, 24 hours or so. So here's the deal. If you didn't have the right product consistency and you've got fine little bubbles in there, and then you start filing, you just shatter all of those little bubbles. Then as the acrylic continues to cure, what it does is it starts to shrink. So it's shrinking, and which makes it go and pop up in the middle because it shrunk and it had all those little fine cracks inside, and that's why it looks all cloudy too. That is the reason that's our fault for center pocket lifting most of the time, is product ratio. Or application, as far as if you didn't prep right and get a full contact. It can hang on for a little while. So maybe you can get through like the first fill or two. But then it starts to lift in the middle. It's because you never really got it adhered down in the first place. You got it sort of adhered down. And so by the time it gets a month grown out, it can't hang on anymore. But the new product that you applied, is still holding on. So you have what appears to be center pocket lifting, but it's actually just lifting in the middle. The other reason for center pocket lifting is if your client's nails are too long, or they're a banger and a basher, as I like to say. And so they've given their nails, like when they're scrubbing, they've given their nails a good wham into the side of the tub or the wall or the floor or whatever it is they're doing. And maybe they didn't bash it hard enough to break it or crack it, but they did it hard enough to weaken the integrity through that stress area right there. Again, may not show up immediately. It may take a week or two for it to finally let the rest of the way go. So center pocket lifting, those are the first things that you need to look at. I tell my clients when they have something that's gone wrong with their nail, if it hurt when they did it, it's their fault. If it didn't hurt when they did it, it's probably my fault. So that's just kind of a good rule of thumb. Doesn't matter. I include all my repairs within my 2-week guarantee anyway. But then it helps to let them know, when that way your clients aren't like, man, my nail tech sucks because my nails are always breaking because they're always ripping their fingers off on the car door handle, or because they have lotion on their hands, or they've got drawer pulls in their kitchen that their hands slip off of all the time. And so they've got the action going on. That way they can't pin that on me. If they're like, yeah, it totally hurt, I'm like, yeah, that's totally you. Okay, so I hope I answered that on center pocket lifting. 3 minutes. That's what you guys have left. So I have time for my client to get here. Can you do that again? I missed that rule of measure. If it hurt when your client broke the nail or the lifting was caused or whatever, if it hurt, it's probably their fault. If it didn't hurt, it's probably my fault. That's the whole infamous, I was just sitting on the couch and my nail flew off kind of thing. And I'll mess with people a little bit. I'm like, really? You're sitting there watching TV, doing nothing. Your hands were resting quietly in your lap. And the nail just hopped off, landed on the floor. Is that how it happened? They're like, well, not really. I mean, I banged it into the tub when I was cleaning the tub the other day, and that hurt. And then, I was watching TV and I noticed that it was lifting the rest of the way off. And I'm like, yeah, because you bashed it, not because of anything I did. It didn't just lift right off. We know what happened, and it hurt when it happened. So whatever, you're lucky it didn't rip your nail off with it. Yeah, it is a really interesting concept. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is something that I'm sorry, I will make sure I give her credit for when I, in the comment section below on Facebook, because I'm so sorry I don't have my other stuff in front of me right now, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but on one of the Nail Tech boards, okay, Melissa, center lift for hard gel, coming at you in like 1 minute, if you get somebody who comes into your chair who has their nails a holy jeebus mess, like whether they came from a salon that didn't do good work or used bad product or just whatever, it covers a myriad of things. The term that she used, and I totally told her I would give her credit, and I totally told her I was stealing it, so I will give her credit, was she has on her menu what she calls a corrective fill. It's a higher priced fill that takes some extra time, and it's treated a whole lot like what a hairstylist does for corrective color. It sort of covers under that umbrella. When a stylist says they're going to do corrective color on us, they don't tell us why it's corrective, with what specific product formulas they're going to use or whatever. They look and say, your hair is trashed, and I'm going to have to do like 3 different steps to get it not trash looking and to get it to look the way you want. And that's a corrective color. And my corrective color for this is going to be this. So corrective fill, I absolutely love it. I'm totally going to add it to my service menu. And for those of you who are struggling with getting people in your chair who you feel like you're having to do too much work on because they're coming to you with crap on their nails and you don't know what to do with them or whatever, corrective fill in whatever your pricing bracket is, my friends, is amazing. Center pocket lift in hard gel, Melissa asked about. In this last minute before I sign off, center pocket lifting with gel, you're probably going to be able to get a better answer for this as far as a more detailed answer from like Amy Becker or Gina Silvestro, the real gel like super maven people. But a lot of times with gel center pocket lift, it's our goal when we're applying a product, and I learned this when I did some advanced training with CND. Our goal is to bring balance back to the nail plate. So if you've got somebody who's got a really bendy nail and you use a really bendy gel, that's not going to work on them because it doesn't bring balance back to the nail plate. Those people are going to do better with a harder gel or an acrylic because it's going to be harder than their natural nail is bendy, and it's going to bring us back to balance. Same thing. If you've got somebody who's got a really hard brittle nail and you put acrylic over on them, anytime they bang their nail into anything, they're going to crack. They're going to break because everything's too hard. It's too rigid. People who have those really hard, rigid nails like that, they need gel and a more flexible gel because it's flexible and it's going to bring balance back to the nail plate. So a lot of times with gel, what I find is the gel application, when you have center pocket lifting, isn't in balance with what their natural nail is that their nail continues to flex underneath and the gel doesn't, or flexes too much, and you start to get that look. So a lot of times with center pocket lifting, I find that there's something out of balance and they're a banger or a basher that's constantly hitting on the ends of their nails. And so it's not totally lined up just right and they're contributing to it a little bit. And so you get the center pocket lift. The good news is that when you get that with gel, as long as they're not losing the entire enhancement, it's because gel is so easy to file. It's really easy to file that center pocket lifting out, without ending up with a fill line. And especially if you're doing a rebalance, you're going to float a lot of gel over the top of it anyway. So, at least it's a little bit easier repair than center pocket lifting with acrylic. Okay, so last thing, I'm on my way out. This is a mean green bit from Atwood. And I'm sorry, I've got dust all over my phone now, so it's kind of blurry when I get up close. But this is a mean green bit from Atwood Industries. This bit is incredibly amazing for taking soft bulk off the nail. So if somebody comes to you with some gel nails that are just like wowza thick and you're trying to fix, if somebody comes to you with gel polish over an enhancement, or if you use gel polish over enhancements in your salon, this is the fastest way to get it off. It doesn't clog. You can get all 10 nails done. So this will save you a lot of headache and time and trouble. It's awesome. It also comes, there's a Texas Tornado that is one of the best bits. There's also a Texas Tornado, it's a different thing. Can you use it with acrylic? I use this bit to take the gel polish off of my client's acrylic. And then at the same time, I do another pass over the top really quickly to shape my, and Melissa says yes, to shape my acrylic for fill. And then I can just use my regular file to just breeze over the top of the previous acrylic and make sure the natural nail gets prepped. So I use this bit a lot. There's also the Texas Tornado, which is a similar bit. It's also got the little green bands on, but it looks more like a football. And I use this Swiss football for cleaning underneath. It is the Atwood bit. It's Atwood Industries, Nicole Atwood and Bruce Atwood. What I use it to, remove the acrylic. Remove meaning how? I do use it for reducing the bulk of the acrylic for a fill, but if I'm doing a French backfill, a French fill, then I use a blue Swiss carbide bit. Oh, this bit's called the Mean Green. It's called the Mean Green. If you get a hold of Nicole Atwood, Nicole knows that this is my favorite bit. And if you say Michelle was telling you about it, she'll be like, oh yeah, the Mean Green, because that's the one she always talks about. If I'm going to do a French backfill, which is a whole nother episode altogether, I use a Swiss carbide. Full removal. Yeah. I won't go all the way down to, you should never go down all the way to the natural nail plate with a metal bit unless it was specifically designed to be used on the nail plate. And these were not. These were designed to be used over an enhancement. So unless you have like a Skyver type bit or something like that, if you're going to use on the natural nail, you can go down with this until it's really thin. Moving quickly so that you're not building up heat. And the thing about this bit that everybody needs to know is you need to turn your drill way up or it'll catch. I use a Coupa UP200, and when I use this bit, I've almost got it on max speed. It allows you to not press as hard. Then once you get down to a really thin layer of enhancement, then you can switch to a mandrel with a sanding band, and turn your drill way down to where you can actually put it on your hand without feeling anything. Without feeling anything, and smooth that last little bit of product off. Well, I hope I've helped you guys a lot today. It's going to be on, you're welcome. It's going to be on Periscope for the next 24 hours, where you can see everybody's comments and questions. And then it's going to go up on the Facebook page here just in a minute. And please share it with your friends, share it with your groups. If you feel like it helped you, if you feel like you need more, comment in the comment section below, and I will make sure that it gets addressed in future Nails Over Copy episodes. And make sure you totally totally share, totally, let's do what we can to help people who can't always get to a hands-on class. Of course, if we are in a hands-on workshop and I can look at you using your product, I can obviously help more. But until then, we can do this kind of stuff to help get some questions answered. So thank you everybody for joining me today. This was a great show. Last Friday's show has over 2,000 views, which is really exciting. So share this with everybody. I do Nails Over Coffee Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. my time. So that was about an hour ago. And for as long as whatever we have to cover, sometimes it's me just sitting in a chair talking about nail topics and pictures. And I do it Monday through Friday. And then I put them on the Facebook page right after broadcast ends. And I have a goal of getting them all up on the YouTube channel, but that just hasn't happened yet. So go ahead and come on in, Denise. Okay, you guys, my client's here, so I gotta go. But thanks for joining me today. Make sure you like the page, like the University of Nails page, and share with your friends. All right, I will catch up with you guys later. Thanks. Goodbye. Everybody say goodbye. Goodbye. Well, I'm saying goodbye to you, and I'm saying hello to Denise. All right, you guys. Thanks. Oh, you guys are sweet. Take care.